Is the streaming any better now? Krishna Meena, is it better now? Streaming? Okay, so just rebooted the whole thing. ठीक, ठीक. कोई नहीं बेटा, we will manage through this. Can you all see my whiteboard? ठीक है. So what we started with was social media and the information society, and the debate that we got into was, should social media be regulated and why? And we said that looking at social media, it is not really in the traditional sense of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech ka do teen purpose tha. Okay, it was promoted with the idea of encouraging political dissent, freedom of speech was considered as a very important basis of innovation and scientific inquiry. Freedom of speech for the purpose of rights, for the purpose of empowering the disadvantaged societies, okay, and groups and communities. But what has happened with our social media? The social media is actually heavily all of you. Today, I think we are a bit jinxed today. चलो ठीक है. 21st century India. Okay. मिर्च नींबू. चलो ठीक है. Okay, mental health link received. Okay, ठीक है, good, nice. Okay, in the traditional sense, freedom of speech was meant for three objectives: freedom of speech to encourage political dissent, freedom of speech to encourage creativity, innovation, and scientific inquiry. Creativity, innovation, and scientific inquiry. And freedom of speech also for empowerment of the disadvantaged groups and to ensure rights to some of the societies that otherwise were not a part of the political dissension. What I'm saying is, social media in reality offers none of this. Social media is heavily manipulated. It is manipulated Okay, there is definitely a corporate. There is a corporate. There is okay a profit motive. There is a profit motive. Okay, in the social media. Social media is very convenient for allowing the antisocials to find okay ways to exploit the medium. And we do know social media also has lot of security threats. Okay, security threats. There are issues related to lone wolf attacks. Okay, so we had developed an argument of why social media has to be regulated. अब solution क्या है? Okay, solution क्या है? We do not know the exact form of regulation. Okay, what should be the exact form? We are not sure about that. Okay, yes, absolutely. It is a recruiting platform for terrorists. Absolutely, you're right. Again, we have seen a lot of these fringe elements use it to further their agenda. Be it the problems of mob lynching, be it the problem of spreading rumors, be it even shaming, trolling, body shaming. We have examples where children and the unsuspecting have been the victims of pornography also, right? So all of these problems do exist. So regulation is a definite thing now. Regulation is a very important objective that we have to pursue. The problem is the form and the shape of the regulation and the agency who will regulate it. That is something we are not very sure about. Okay, that's why in context we said that there are 4 or 5 things we must ensure in regulation. Yes, the blue whale game tha last year mein, it was quite a bit of a scandal, even children committing suicide. Ab kya uska aspects hai wo alag baat hai, but we do have concerns there. So we said, number 1, there should be some kind of consensus on what is the base acceptable behavior. Okay, consensus on what should be the base acceptable behavior. Okay, so some kind of agreement on what is desirable and what is not. The second one was we have to have agencies and institutions who can regulate. Yes, absolutely, you're right, Abhinav. There is an algorithmic bias. Okay, जो algorithm है उसमें biases हैं. Okay, biases, they definitely push you towards certain types of viewership. So उसमें biases हैं. Absolutely, I'm saying it is heavily controlled. It is not a platform where actually it is followed in the name of the freedom of speech. There is a lot of problems there and how it is manipulated. I also talked about how news and information is now cornered by people who know coding. Okay. Rather than journalists and writers, people who know how to code well, who know how to probably sequence what information can be shown when, they are the ones controlling the entire platforms. So we need agencies and we need institutions that can regulate. And very importantly, we have to fight the idea of private censorship. The private censorship hai, this is something that is not working. Okay, and it can also be biased. We have seen Facebook says that it is censoring. We have Twitter saying that they censor. Okay, we have Google also saying that they do censor. But these are not really well-intentioned every time. It's like a facade of morality that they try to parade. Okay, media mein, so YouTube mein, if you can Google search, there is an interview. There is an interview of Yuval Harari. Interview of Yuval Harari by Mark Zuckerberg. एक interview है YouTube में. If somebody can quickly search and post the link here, this is a very interesting interview where Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook guy, is trying to promote the idea social media is a free medium, and Yuval Harari stands his ground. He says, no, social media is not a free. Okay, and I mean, if I say that in as much words, okay, Mark Zuckerberg looks like an ass in front of Yuval Harari. Like, he was no match. Yuval Harari, the way his arguments was being conceptualized, the way he was talking, Mark Zuckerberg was totally clueless about how to move ahead. So what now bold guy doesn't look like a man who was thinking. Okay, very uncomfortable, sitting on the edge. You know, like YouTube video pakka dekhna. Some of you have shared the link here. Okay, a lizard anyway, Masudha. Yes. Okay, it's a beautiful interview. I said all of you should watch this interview, and then you know what are the problems social media can push you towards. I mean, Yuval Harari made a beautiful statement. He says that unfortunately, algorithm and coding is taking over human physiology. It is taking over human neurotransmitters. So how you are thinking, how you emote, what is your reactions. Okay, algorithms and codings are taking over. And Khaskar is talking about how biochips implanted in you can literally take over whatever you do and what you think. Okay, and one more very interesting idea. I mean, isko note karo. Okay, very interesting idea. It says that terrorism, and political you can say turmoils. Terrorism, political turmoils, security, have been an excuse. For governments to take control of social media. This is the idea that terrorism, security concerns, political turmoils have been an excuse for government to take control of social media. And they are gradually trying to manipulate social media in the name of public order. And this is an important point. It is said that once the government takes control of these medium, it is very unlikely the government will try to loosen its control on that. Abhi kya tha? It is all free, supposedly encouraging innovation. There were protests, people were using it. Now the government steps in. In the name of security, government now starts taking control of social media. And जैसे कि आपका जो 2008 का जो IT Amendment Act था, this act was on the backdrop of the Mumbai terror attacks. The government now is moving towards becoming what's called as the surveillance state. I hope you know this point. Surveillance state. So what it's saying is that terrorism ho, security concerns ho, political turmoil ho, the government is using this as an excuse to control and to monopolize, to manipulate the social media. And once they get control of the social media in the name of public order, once they get control of the social media in the name of probably controlling security issues, it is very unlikely that they will give up their control. And eventually, okay, the state moves into what's called as the surveillance state. Okay, you become what's called as a deep state. Have you heard this phrase, Pehle? What is a surveillance state and what is a deep state? Basically, a state looking at a government, okay, which is now at the level of controlling all activities of its citizens. Okay, yes, the typical Big Brother idea given by Orwell's 1984. China has been a surveillance state. Like USSR has been a surveillance state. Germany during the World Wars was, again, Hitler Khaskar, it was a surveillance and deep state. Poland, I mean, these are the countries that have secret police. If you know about the secret police like Stasi, S-T-A-S-S-I, the Stasi, the KGB, okay. In Germany, we had what's called as the brown shirts. Okay, a secret थे, like the secret army, the red shirts. Okay, so the KGB, yes, you have the Mossad, M-O-S-S-A-D, Mossad of Israel. Okay, so they get into surveillance, they get into espionage, they get into literally controlling every aspect of life. Yes. ISI, in Pakistan, you have the ISI, absolutely. Okay, so these kind of states are called as deep states. These are called as surveillance states. And these kind of states, okay, are always autocratic. They always will push one type of thinking and agenda. In the name of public order, okay, raw is nothing like it. CIA, yes, but CIA is not really like KGB or Mossad. The CIA historically has been working more as a part of an agency for foreign security, but not controlling its own people. Okay, India ka bhi raw, it is not about controlling our own people. Okay, but in Mossad and Stasi and KGB, they control their own people also. Okay, so there's a difference between how the Americans have worked historically, but now the things can change. Okay, so social media, if not regulated, I mean, it does require an element of freedom, but the freedom has to be properly and in spirit, it has to be enforced. Okay, Girish, let's not get into all these kind of debates. Okay, ये conspiracy theories हैं, इसमें ना घुसो तो अच्छा है. Okay, you'll only end up messing up your essay. Okay, get out of that and keep the discussion a bit more neutral. Okay, because the conspiracy theories का कोई end नहीं है. Okay, so let's steer away from that. But I hope you understand why we need the social media to be regulated for the purpose of freedom of speech. A very interesting, idea here that we need to regulate. We need to regulate social media, okay, for ensuring freedom of speech. They almost sound like opposites, contradictory ideas. कि आप इधर regulate भी कह रहे हो, इधर आप freedom of speech भी कह रहे हो. But that is how social media, okay, needs to be intervened in. It's like a paradox, exactly. It's like a paradox. Yes. ठीक है? So that's about social media. Try using it wherever you can. Okay. Now, one discussion that I want you to have is on quickly on the theme called women. Okay, theme called women. So I'll give you some quick discussions on this. I have a request on my private chat if I could summarize the entire essay writing canvas. बेटा ये तो पढ़ा दिया मैंने 2-3 क्लास में. You want me to demonstrate? Do most of you want me to summarize and show that to you again? मैंने करा दिया ना बेटा. I think we will end up losing more time then. ठीक है? आपको बता दिया है how to go about it. Okay, you can watch the recorded sessions. Yes, I mean, let's not waste our time. Okay, so women issues. दो तीन बार हो चुका है. Yes, we have done it, and I gave examples across topics also. Okay, so please अपने आप करो ये वाला. Let's move on now. Okay, now women issues. देखो, if you remember, when we're talking about the conclusion, we'll talk about the. Sorry. We talked about the conclusion. Okay, I said conclusion can be something like a summary. Conclusion can be a summary, or it can be a kind of rephrasing of what we were trying to assert through our stand. Okay, plus the conclusion can offer a solution along with, wherever possible, the Indian perspective, and plus if you can offer something on the futuristic lines, कि अगर हमने ये नहीं किया, okay, what can happen, or if you do it, what can happen. Okay, now when you are discussing the solutions and discussing the Indian angle, देखो दो तीन चीज बहुत important है. Okay, one is if you can touch on, okay, some things related to women, gender issues, और solution का एक बहुत important way of offering, okay, say solution says talk about issues of governance. Talk about governance theme पे you can safely conclude many of your debates. Okay, under governance, हर problem का, if I ask you, what is the solution of global warming? Okay, so एक तो idea है, solution is environmental initiatives, and let us ban plastic, and let us reduce emissions, let us talk about climate change proposal. You can go on there. Yes, mutual cooperation and so on. But you realize all of this makes sense if we can implement whatever we have decided. If we can probably fix the responsibilities and ensure our agenda and the policies are properly implemented, तो वहां पर भी आपका governance आ जाता है. Okay, if you ask me what are the problems and how can we solve the problems of gender issues, okay, the solutions क्या है? You talk about education, awareness, you talk about probably some kind of institution for taking care of women who are abused and so on. But वहां पर भी a very important aspect is governance. Policing important है, laws important है, legal aspects important है, enforcement of the laws and bringing the people justice important है. So वहां पर भी governance आ जाएगा. Okay, so governance is a very good thing to end your essay in. Okay, and we'll talk about governance on 3-4 important issues in environmental based governance, governance that is sensitive to gender issues. अब हम बता रहे हैं governance related to social media. Okay, we can have governance related to ensuring, okay, that inequalities and disparities are taken care of. So governance theme में a very important aspect is the gender dimension. हर problem का environment and gender. We have got conflicts and gender, poverty and gender. Okay, you talk about issues, education and gender. हर चीज में gender is a very important aspect. So या तो direct conclusion के साथ हो, or in otherwise your gender issues and governance issues, I think, are very important sub themes to develop your essays on. Is it okay, all of you? Yeah, gender and Gandhi. I mean, gender, though, it's like, in gender environment, as a topics, you can use these topics just about, or these discussions in just about any type of topic. You can use this in any type of discussions. Those who are with me in the classes in geography will know, I use a term called potato. Yes, Neha and Abhinav quickly recall. Yes, potato, yes. Aloo, किसी में भी गिरा दो, it is going to work. Potato with vegetarian, potato with non-vegetarian, potato soup and potato sauce and पोटैटो का ड्रिंक भी है आपका तो ओके आर यू अवेयर ऑफ द पोटैटो बेस्ड ड्रिंक कौन सा वाला है किसी को पता नहीं है Shreya is the first one Anukriti Smita okay okay I am glad there are no gender biases here okay oh no potato also goes with lady's finger have you tried potato bhaji you'll understand that okay fried bhindi and potato okay it goes with everything chili potato and chili honey potato okay didn't know vodka so jitne bhi respond karne wale it was Poonam it was Shreya it was Smita they all know about vodka fine good और जिसका मतलब है वो सब चुपचाप बैठे हुए हैं anyway there's no gender bias here good it's free for all so no problem ठीक है right okay so gender issues okay and environment across lot of topics अच्छा आलू कनेक्शन नहीं पता था okay Poonam says वोदका तो पता है but आलू कनेक्शन नहीं पता था okay so आपको पता है okay so whenever you are questioned कि क्या कर रहे हो आलू खा रहे हैं okay आलू खा रहे हैं आलू टेस्ट कर रहे हैं okay आलू okay से उलझे हुए हैं ठीक है so that's a good excuse don't use the name vodka and you know what you must tell your parents if you are questioned ठीक है potato farmers की help चलो ठीक है okay so I gave you the contextual background about how you can use these topics now let us get on to the women theme ठीक है now women theme में देखो most students where they get trapped is they do not have the exact figure and data आप सबको पता होता है women atrocities हैं you all know about the problems related to crimes against women but if I ask you give me facts give me figures give me and say if you can quote some agencies name वहां problem हो जाती है आपको so my focus on discussion of women issue is number one I'll try giving you some facts okay we'll try you some facts and number two I'll try helping you with some of the concepts which can give you an edge in the nudge effect okay some bit of higher level content ताकि आप okay a deep analysis में use कर सकते हैं ठीक है so facts में so number one we have this Thomson Reuters Foundation THOMPSON Thomson okay REUTERS Reuters Foundation okay 2018 का सर्वे है Thomson Reuters Foundation okay 2018 survey it says India is the most dangerous country for sexual violence against women it says India is the most dangerous country in terms of violence against women but यहाँ पर I hope you do not get emotional कि anti-national ideas हैं okay so we have to dramatize the problem and then suggest what the solutions can be okay it places India has a rank of 131 out of 152 countries 131 out of 152 countries okay in global ranking for okay women inclusion and women well-being India is that's pitiable 131 out of 152 in terms of global inclusion okay for global ranking for women inclusion and well-being in India okay approximately 3.5 lakh excuse me approximately 3.5 lakh registered cases related to women issues women violence cases related to women violence and there are more than 40,000 rape cases, complaints. And remember, this is just the tip. Many of these issues do not even reach the right institutions and FIR is not filed. ये तो जो आपका registered है, okay, जो registered नहीं है, God knows, okay, how much and how many of these are silent victims of these crimes. Yes, there is a gross under reporting. There is gross under reporting. Okay. Then we have this World Economic Forum ka, okay, World Economic Forum, they come up with the Global Gender Gap Index. Global Gender Gap Index. And they rank the gap. Ranking is done on the basis of gap in 4 parameters. World Economic Forum, Global Gender Gap Index, ranking is done on the basis of gap in 4 measures. Gap under 4 measures. वो 4 measures क्या हैं? Okay, economic participation, gap in education attainment, gap in health and longevity, and gap in political empowerment. ये 4 parameters पे they rank countries. They rank countries on the basis of these 4 parameters and the gap. India 2013 का है ये, इसका अपडेट नहीं हुआ था till last I know. Okay, till last year. Okay, the rank is 105 out of 136 countries. Okay, so third one is health and longevity, economic participation, education attainment, health and longevity, and political empowerment. Okay, and now acha updation hua hai Abhinav. Okay, Abhinav says now it is 112 out of 136. So this is not improvement. Agar 112 ho gaya, it's actually slipping down. So this probably could have been 2014 ka. There is a lag in when they publish all the reports after analysis. There is but anyway, this is the data that I know. Abhinav says that it is now 112. Economic में 149, education 100. अच्छा, education is 112. Okay, ठीक है. Okay, 112 education का है. That's okay, fine. Health is 150. Okay, political ठीक है. So देख लेना. Okay, so basically this is not encouraging figure. Okay, so if our rank is 112 out of 130 countries, this is not going to be encouraging. In fact, it says in case of crimes, in instances of crimes against women, India in many ways is worse than some of the third world countries of Africa. Okay, in criteria under crime against women, India in some ways is worse than the third world countries of Africa. और ये जो जेंडर गैप इंडेक्स है, okay, the gender gap index does not include okay, crimes against women. वो implied हो जाता है. Okay, so it is not actually a true measure. Okay, it's not actually a true measure of attainment. Okay, so shayad it is not even reflecting the actual reality in as much detail. Okay, so India ka position in terms of women is actually dismal. It is dismal. Then it says that if you look at economic empowerment, okay, analyzing economic empowerment, empowerment, there are three trends. One is opportunities for women is limited. Okay, this is partly because of the social biases and partly because of lack of skilling. Okay, in economic empowerment, there are three trends. Ek to there is very less opportunity. Opportunity for women is limited. Okay, and why is it limited? One big reason is the social biases. One reason is social biases, and other is lack of skilling. Ab education attainment hi nahi hai, so how can they be part? The second trend is there is lot of wage gap. Wage gap, okay, the gap is nowhere near. In fact, the gap is more than 50%. If men are paid 100 rupees, women are paid less than 50 rupees. The wage gap on average is very, very high. And third, okay, even with income, the financial freedom is less. Do you understand what we mean by this? What do we mean by this? Okay, that even with with income, with jobs, the financial freedom is very less. How do you talk about this? What do you mean by financial freedom is less? Okay, basically the right to spend, the choices where to spend. Yes, so the finances are not controlled by women. Financial decisions not taken by women. Okay, so wages ka gap bahut high hai. So these are the three trends. One is the opportunities are less, the wage gap is very, very high, and even after income, the financial freedom is very less. The discretion of spending is not there. Okay, and remember this, that the financial freedom, financial freedom is an important point. Financial freedom is the most important basis and measure. Is the most important basis and the most important measure, for women empowerment. For women empowerment, most important measure for women progression. Okay, so without financial independence, the opportunities are lesser for empowerment, and it is also a measure. It's a good way of measuring whether the society has become progressive or not. Okay, so Karthik says women representation on company boards is just 13.8%. Good, nice. This is women representation on company boards is about 13.8%. In fact, I could add to this, that because of this, what is happening is that access to credit is less for women. Access to credit is less. Women entrepreneurship is low. Access to credit is less. Women entrepreneurship is very, very low. Okay, about less than 50% of India's population. Okay, not less than, about, sorry. About 50% of India's population are women, but less than 5% of businesses are owned by women. And less than 7% of all entrepreneurs are women. देखिए इसको please. So this is something related to, because the financial, I said no, is a very important measure. Financial empowerment is a very important basis for many other things. Because one of you said, Karthik says, okay, this is the data from World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum से data है ये वाला. Okay, that women represent just about 13.8% of companies' votes. Okay, or is just 13.8% वहाँ पर है. And we also know that access to credit is less to women, and women entrepreneurship is low. Any one reason why women entrepreneurship is encouraged? Anybody knows why women entrepreneurship is a very important aspect? Anybody knows? The business angle at least? No, Pavan, humanitarian decisions में ये भी एक टाइप का cultural bias हो जाता है. Savings habit, EQ, like a thrift, multitasking, women know how to save. You know, women entrepreneurship, the success rates are very, very high. The success rates are high and defaults are very less. Defaults are less. Of course, some say कि data skewed है. Okay, if there are 100 men, of which say probably the default rate is say about 60%. Okay, 40 of them are giving back their dues. If there are 10 women, okay, and the default rate is say 4, we say 60% are giving back their dues. So some say कि you are not acknowledging that 40% are not defaulting. So थोड़ा सा skewed है data because the amount of women is less. But if I go by the averages and proportions and percentages, this is the data. I hope you understand what my argument was. Okay, why women entrepreneurship is low and what does this mean? Okay, data tells us that the success rate of women is higher. The chances of a business clicking, it says success rates are higher and defaults are low. The financial discipline is better with women. But some have argued that maybe this has an element of data bias. आपके पास ज़्यादा men हैं, so if you have more people entrepreneurship, so automatically you'll have more and more of defaults also. The comparison would have been good if I'm comparing 100 men entrepreneurs and 100 women entrepreneurs. Then I can say, okay, this makes sense. Okay, but ठीक है, इसको जाने दो आप. You can ignore this debate. But for now, remember that entrepreneurship by women is being much talked about. It is one of those talking points. Why? Because the default rates are low and the success rates for women entrepreneurship is relatively higher. Okay, तो इसको ऐसे ही ले लो. Shouldn't be a bigger issue here. ठीक है, all of you? So a quick set of data about women issues. Now, we'll talk about one more angle. what are the challenges? What are the challenges in women issues? What is it that we must discuss? Okay. So one, of course, you should know about the sex ratios, okay, and the declining child sex ratio. I hope you all know what is child sex ratio, right? You all know what is child sex ratio. Yes, Ravika, more democratic and more inclusive management, but इसमें भी वही data bias है कुछ हद तक. Okay, why? Because again, data tells us that if you do not have equal number of people to compare, it's possible that your conclusions are biased. Okay, 100 men का आप compare कर रहे हो with 10 women. Okay, there is an element there, but let us maintain the fact that yes, with women entrepreneurship, probably the social issues also are taken care of. Okay, so you take it with a pinch of salt, but okay. So you all know what is child sex ratio, right? Yes, or overall sex ratio 940 hai. Child sex ratio is rapidly declining. I believe all of you know this. I will not elaborate much on this. The second issue is, of course, crimes against women. Crimes against women. ये भी आपको पता ही है. And crime against women में आप make sure that you are also discussing marital rape and also discussing domestic violence. This is one of the most underreported. This is one of the most underreported of all the crimes. Okay, marital rape and domestic violence. There is too much of social. There's too much of social pressure to keep these under wraps. And let me tell this to you. ये बताओ कि ये जो social pressure and these issues हैं, which society में ये ज़्यादा है? These problems are more in what type of societies? The higher societies or the relatively poorer class? Middle class? किसमें है? You're surprised to know that these problems are relatively lesser in rural and poorer families. It's not zero, but rural and poorer families में relatively कम है. Whereas, yes, middle class, the richer populations, okay, urban life में this is higher. Urban life में this is higher. Okay, now this is a very interesting find. So, the idea that crimes, remember your nudge effect. Absolutely, you can talk about this movie. Yes, so the movie आपका थप्पड़ है. Thappad hai, this movie called Pink. Okay, yes, absolutely. Yes. Even Highway, yes. ठीक है? Parched. Okay. So, ये सब movies का reference ले लेना. I said in the 5 principles. Okay, Secret Superstar. Wow, very nice. Excellent. Secret Superstar. Yes, absolutely. These are some good examples to develop your essays on. ऐसे ना आपके 5 principles में को movies का बात करिए, talk about some art, some songs, talk about some monuments which have been constructed, okay, for some themes, whatever, war के लिए हैं. So ये movies का अच्छे examples हैं. Make sure you are using it. ठीक है? How should we exactly use movies? अरे वसुधा example देते हुए लिखोगे और क्या? अगर dialogue पता है तो dialogue को लिख देना if you want to write down. दंगल में तो कुछ और दिखाया गया है, तो पूरा अलग ही कहानी है दंगल में. Okay, man's fight against these biases. Okay, कैसे यूज करना है वसुधा? आप एग्जाम्पल दे लो. कोई डायलॉग याद है तो डायलॉग बता दो. Okay, क्या है वो इस what was that? चुटकी भर सिंदूर क्या आप क्या जाने Ramesh Babu. So if you know some of those Courts do mention it. Yes, absolutely. Okay, जेंडर में आप ट्रांसजेंडर इश्यूज को भी डाल सकते हैं. यस, चुटकी भर सिंदूर की कीमत क्या जानो रमेश बाबू. ओके, फाइन. So Shiv Bhan has internalized this. Okay. अगर पेपर में थप्पड़ मार सकते हो तो मार देना, और क्या. ओके, ठीक है. Okay, fine. So please do use examples from movies. ठीक है. Now I said one important example of a nudge effect. ये वाला nudge effect है. Okay. Because see, when we talk about women atrocities, okay, we talk about women atrocities. A common explanation किया जाता है that it is lack of education. Lack of education is offered as the common reason why, okay, we have bias against women. But when we talk about crimes against women to be higher in richer societies, crime against women higher in urban areas, crime against women higher in middle class families. Now this is not really lack of education, at least not really lack of formal education. Some of them are pretty educated here. और आप देखें ये जो लॉकर रूम बॉयज थे, ओके, लॉकर रूम बॉयज के इश्यूज जो था, it was not really lack of education the way we know education, or yes, it was the lack of gender sensitization. Yes, exactly. Okay, so ये problems are not, this is not defect, that these are not really lack of education. These are not really lack of education. Okay, I will attribute this to two things. One will be, of course, lack of gender sensitization. Sensitization, एक तो ये है, और दूसरा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, okay, very deep, okay, internalization. Very deep internalization by women regarding their status and position, regarding their adverse status, regarding their adverse status and position in society, and their responsibility and their duties. Okay, these are the two most critical reasons why we have the type of society we have. It is not really lack of education, because we find these crimes to be higher, okay, in case of youth who are educated. Okay, I mean, example they बताते हैं कि when you are uneducated, when you are not as sophisticated, okay, your crime against women would be brutal, okay, and probably the disgusting show that we have, okay, in male chauvinism. But as you get sophisticated and educated, your tools change. फिर शायद आप मुंह में कुछ नहीं बोलते हो, okay, but your biases continue in the form, okay, where you use social media for perpetuating your biases. Okay, you probably use your laws and institutions to perpetuate the biases. So it is not really lack of education the way we know education, it is lack of gender sensitization. And I said very deep internalization. लिखें आप इसको, very deep internalization by women regarding their adverse status, and position in the society. Okay, and their deep acceptance, very deep internalization by women regarding their adverse status, and pull society, and their acceptance, and the deep acceptance of their responsibilities and duties. So this probably, ये जो angle है ना, ये angle, these angles, okay, these are social and they're also behavioral, psychological basis, okay, explaining the crimes and the biases against women. Okay. Women issues, okay, shouldn't be seen as, okay, law and order problem. Okay, they shouldn't be seen as law and order problem. They are social issues with deep behavioral and psychological basis. Okay, yes, patriarchal bargaining by women. Okay. Sending snake to kill wife in Kerala because of dowry. Oh my goodness. There's no limit to what all is done. Okay, आपका जो छपाक मूवी था, आप वो भी देख सकते हैं. Okay, that acid वाला issue जो था, yes, and yes, Romeo Squads. Okay. इंडिया में अलग अलग मॉरल पुलिसिंग जो है, moral policing. ठीक है? I hope you have understood what I'm trying to explain here. The problems of crime against women is not simply a problem of law and order. This is deep-seated social issue. This is a deep psychological and behavioral issue. Okay, और ये problems जो है ना, these kind of issues, okay, ये जो issues हैं, okay, they can be overcome and managed only across generations. ये एक आध साल 10 साल में ये नहीं ठीक होने वाला. This has to be addressed across generations. Okay, on average, okay, if you want to work on these things, it probably takes the third or the fourth generation to start accepting and acknowledging women and their role in the society. ठीक है? आवाज नहीं आ रही है अंकुर. इस इश्यूज में वैसे भी बहुत लोगों को आवाज आती नहीं है. okay. पूरा दुनिया और विमेन चीखते रहते हैं. उसमें ये इशू का प्रॉब्लम है, ये टेक्नोलॉजी का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. ठीक है. आवाज दो. ये प्रॉब्लम आवाज का ही है बेटा. ठीक है. And you know, I will say this with as much conviction because ye biases probably are the stories of every house in different forms. Okay, and I must say there are moments in my behavior also where if I look back, I am disappointed with myself also sometimes. Sometimes the way, you know, inadvertently or okay, without the intention, the way I address the needs of my daughter, the way I address some of the concerns of my wife, the way I deal with my sisters or my aunts. Okay, I must tell you, kitna ye deep rooted hai, inadvertently, without even really trying to do so. Okay, it happens. That's why when I look back and I want to reflect on some of the choices we make, it's actually disappointing. Okay, it's so much into us. Yes, somebody said that this is that sexism. Okay, so आपको जो discuss करना है ना, you must talk about this deep rooted sexism in our psyche. ये deep rooted sexism in the psyche. Okay, बेटी पढ़ाओ बेटी बचाओ बेटा, इसके बारे में जितना कम बात किया जाए उतना अच्छा है. Okay, Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao was totally misused for a different agenda altogether. Yeah, Beti Bachao, though it was became an agenda for probably rescuing women, again, girl child from love jihad. वो agenda बन गया. उससे और बड़ा dumb issue और हो नहीं सकता था. ठीक है? So yes, Smita, exactly. Okay, you're right. When we say that the problem lies with the deep internalization of the women, हम वही तो कहना चाह रहे हैं. That the solution is not simply the men folk, the solution is also the women folk. Okay, so if we cannot work on the psyche of the women, okay, the deep rooted sexism hai, and the internalization, we are not going to get out of this problem as easy. So आप अगर थोड़ा सा भी sensitively सोचेंगे about how things work, you'll find that these have roots in every family, irrespective of what is your level of education, what is the level of your exposure. Okay? Fathers stand on their own daughters against atrocities while forgetting their own behavior towards their wives. Yes, Anukriti, but then you are lucky to have some fathers who stand with the daughters. Otherwise, fathers are also known to perpetuate crimes in the name of honor killing. Okay, सास भी कोई कभी बहू थी. Okay, यहाँ ये बहू अब अलग level पे है. Okay, but सास and both stories continue. Okay, the original bahu, of course, is now in the parliament, but not sure how liberated she actually is in terms of her thought process. Okay, the saas bahu story continues. Okay, fine. That's about it. That's one aspect of discussion. I said no nudge effect डालना. Okay, nudge effect में ये important point है. Okay, that it is not simply a law and order issue. It's a problem of deep-rooted psyche. So most of you, what you do is you use the word patriarchy and then do not develop this idea really well. एक superficially touch करके आप चले जाते हो. Okay, so do that. Now, in terms of if you look at the women issues at the global level. Let's move on, please. If you look at the women issues at the global level, देखो, global level में भी, like even some of the most developed countries, even the most developed countries, okay, have dismal and have disappointing record in women issues. So, women issues is not typically the issue of India alone. Even the developed countries, in fact, in one of the countries, okay, one of the misogynist, sexist man is also the country's president. Okay, and he is not apologetic about it at all. Okay, the khule aam, he is the president. He has a good support of a good amount of liberated and democratic people, anti-abortion laws. Okay, so ये तो trend है. So you know who I'm talking about, and not just that, Turkey. We talk about Hungary, talk about Philippines. Okay, all of these are notorious. Boris Johnson of UK, the notorious army है ये लोग. Okay, Pakistan का तो छोड़ो यार. Pakistan is a very difficult case to explain. Okay, वो पता नहीं वो क्या है, वो item number है. You know, countries के भी item numbers होते हैं. Okay, Pakistan is the item number for. I mean, it's a, okay, कि इस level में भी हो सकता है. तो उसके बारे में ना बात करें तो अच्छा है. Okay, Brazil also yes. Okay, Brazil also. So in fact, this is not surprising that if you look at the global level, okay, there is strong correlation between crimes against women and the rise of right-wing nationalism. Crime against women and the rise of right-wing nationalism. Right-wing nationalism in general, is related to that, revivalistic tendencies. ये जो strong nationalism है, okay, again just as Pakistan is a case study, okay, item number है, वैसे दूसरे spectrum के end में न्यूजीलैंड है, वो भी एक interesting case study है, okay, and उसी दुनिया में where you have both of them, okay. So ये तो how we live in a society and a world of contradictions, okay. So Imran Khan and his country एक नमूना है, okay, वैसे ही Jacinda Ardern and न्यूजीलैंड ये अलग नमूना है, okay, कि ऐसा भी हो सकता है, okay. I remember we used to have a serial, okay, a movie, sorry, not a movie, a television program, okay, ऐसा भी होता है types. So we don't touch न्यूजीलैंड, ये अलग लेवल पे है फिर, ठीक है. So anyways, जैसे in global level, crimes against women, there is strong correlation with rise of right-wing nationalism. Okay, so you talk about UK, you talk about Brazil, you talk about the US, Hungary, Turkey, you talk about Putin. Putin is no less cool dudes, okay? वो भी अलग अपने लेवल पे जेम्स बॉन्ड है, okay. Happy shooting from his hip. Okay, Putin is also the cool dudes. Okay, he's the original cool dude. उसके बाद I think Trump has got inspired. Okay, इंडिया में तो खैर okay अलग कहानी है. So right wing nationalism के साथ में okay this gets correlated. So that is one of the aspects in the global okay trends में. Okay, हमारे अपने भी हैं, हाँ हमारे अपने भी हैं. हमारे अपनों में से एक तो हमारे सुप्रीम कोर्ट जज हैं जो अब राज्यसभा में भी पहुंच गए हैं, ओके. उनका नाम क्या मुझे याद नहीं रहता, उनका नाम जो भी है, ओके. हम फॉर्मल मीडिया में किसी का नाम नहीं लेते, ओके. सो मुझे याद ही नहीं रहता कौन है, आई डू नॉट नो, ओके. बट आई हर्ड दैट ही वो भी ओके काफी कलरफुल थे, ओके. सो ठीक है, फाइन, बट देन दे गेट अवे विद इट, ओके. ठीक है. So that's one. At the global level, then it says that if you look at the World Economic Report and the very famous wala World Economic Forum का जो था, it says the world has closed 68% of gender gap, but at this rate of closure, it will take another 100 years for the overall gender gap to close, and will take 202 years to bring okay parity in workplace. ये काफी famous observation था. Okay, I'm sure all of you have heard about it, but maybe not in as much detail, maybe. Okay. Priyadarshini, yes, he was a judge in his own sexual harassment case. Okay, अलग-अलग level के, ठीक है, ड्रामेबाजी है. Okay, so it says the world has closed 68% of gender gap, but at this rate of closure, it will take another 100 years for the overall gender gap to close, and 202 years, okay, to bring parity in the workplace. 202 years to bring parity in the workplace. This is something like okay a wake-up call. Okay, and unfortunately, okay, India is also, so it says South Asia has the second lowest ranking. South Asia has the second lowest ranking in the index, and India has closed. India has closed 66% of its gender gap. Okay, it's like a wake-up call about, no, typically what we say, no, miles to go before we sleep. Okay, much to be achieved before we say that we have achieved, our targets. Okay, some of, now very interesting here, an important factor. Okay, countries that have done better, countries that have done better in closing gender gap, you were surprised to hear some of the names. Okay, of course, Norway, Sweden, Iceland is number one. Norway का second rank है, Sweden का third rank है, Finland का fourth rank है, and very surprisingly, countries like Nicaragua, Rwanda, New Zealand, Nicaragua 5 है, Rwanda 6 है, New Zealand 7 है, Philippines 8 है, Ireland 9 है, Namibia 10. Very interesting observations. एक तरफ you have got these Scandinavian countries who are way ahead, और दूसरे spectrum में we have some of the poorer countries. Yes. Okay, very surprising that the problem of gender gap कहाँ पर है. Okay, the 10th one is Namibia. That's why I said, no, the problem of women, okay, is a bigger problem in the middle class and in the higher, okay, societies, classes. Okay. After the genocide, okay, Nitish says a very interesting thing. Okay, the genocide हुआ था, massive, very pathetic genocide that they had. The women had to take responsibility because the male populations had declined in the killing. 8 is Philippines, 9 is Ireland. 8 is Philippines and 9 is Ireland. So I think you have a fair idea about the women issues now. Okay. Now there are 2 more dimensions I will discuss. Achha, by the way, I hope you appreciate one thing, that we are not discussing an essay. Like, हम essay discuss नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर? I'm trying to give you insights into what you can use in your answers, in your essays. Yes, Finland, correct. कि वो nudge effect के लिए, what can you add? What interesting information can you give so that your essay has an interesting spin to the debates? हम वो करना चाह रहे हैं. Okay, so ये points को ना अलग-अलग करके याद रख लेना. Reasons behind higher social indicators in Scandinavia countries. But Scandinavia तो उनका education true spirit है. I mean, if one country whose education we should study and replicate is Finland, among the best education systems, which encourages creativity, innovation, okay, social sensitivity, ये सारा आपका हो रहा है Finland. Okay, tribal societies में women equality is better than, of course, अब वहाँ भी खराब हो रहा है because of the cultural contact that they have come, okay, with, okay. Otherwise, in general, tribal societies are much better in terms of their gender, okay, issues. ठीक है? So series of nudge point के लिए आपको add किया है. Now the next point here is, I'm moving on. Now there are 2 more dimensions I want you to look up. Okay, women issues, women and problems of mental health. Just just a gut feeling. देखो, आपके debates and discussions में ना mental health को please एक या दो paragraph space देना. This is another of the emerging potatoes now. Depression, okay, alienation, problems related to, okay, obsessive compulsive disorders, bipolar disorders, okay, problems related to, okay, sense of loss of identity, okay, disconnect with the true self, out of body feeling. Have you heard these terms? Out of body, कि आपका आप अपने बॉडी में नहीं हो टाइप्स. Out of body feeling, anxiety. Anxiety is a classic gender problem that we have. Anxiety, depression, clinical depression बहुत common है. And please do mention, Deepika Padukone comes out and open and says that she has faced, okay, problems of depression. And I'm sure, and depression एक problem ऐसा है again, okay, this increases with your ambitions. The more ambitious you are, like, it increases with you being more sensitive. The more sensitive you are, okay, it increases, okay, when you are more and more urbanized. Okay, the sense of loneliness. So yes, Shaheen Bhatt's book, absolutely. Okay, I think even Hrithik Roshan's sister, I mean, she suffered from depression. I forget her name though. Shaheen Bhatt, the sister of Alia Bhatt, daughter of Mahesh Bhatt, she has had a problem. And that girl, I forget, Robin Uthappa has a problem. Okay, Obama, I mean, you'll be surprised how common this problem is. Okay, Sunaina Roshan, exactly. Sunaina Roshan is also a, okay. ठीक So anxiety है, depression है, alienation है, okay, compulsive disorders, bipolar disorders, okay, the suicidal tendencies hai. Okay, if you know about bulimia, have you heard about bulimia? Okay, this problem I think Princess Diana suffered from. And all of these problems, they come from poor sense of self. Poor sense of self. Okay. Poor self-image. Okay, lack of confidence, anorexia, absolutely. Okay. Anorexia, okay. और ये सारा प्रॉब्लम कहीं ना कहीं, okay, aggravate भी हुआ है because of, okay, ये problems aggravate भी हुआ है because of social media, okay, because of the new technology and okay, aspirations. ठीक है. Schizophrenia, वो तो extreme case है. Okay, schizophrenia is definitely an extreme case. Okay. So this is one issue. So don't ignore the mental health. And mental health का एक और बहुत important dimension है. Women, mental health and aging. Okay. Aging के साथ में this problem complicates. Okay, it is deprivation तो है ही. Okay, with aging, okay, this problem complicates further. Loss of partner ho, loss of freedom ho, physical ailment ho. Okay, this problem becomes all the more severe. Okay, so this is one aspect if you can bring into your discussion. And the second aspect you can bring in is women and technology. Women and technology. Okay, so we are going through, this process of automation, bolo, robotics, bolo. Okay, we have information society. Okay, these societies are high on technical skills. Okay, when societies are high on technical skills, okay, lack of education for women can only increase the gaps. Okay, so education gap can further widen education gap can further widen gender gap in workplace. It can further widen the gender gap in the workplace. ठीक है? Pandemics, lockdowns, conflicts, security threats can have further adverse impact on women empowerment, because ये ऐसे issues हैं where technology access is further narrowed. ठीक है, think of typical case, जब lockdowns हो रहा है, the families at home, okay, and job losses हो रहे हैं, the domestic responsibilities increase, the consequence of which will be again disproportionately more impact on women. Okay? There will be, yes, absolutely right, Praneeth. In fact, I remember having read about it, that because of lockdown, okay, domestic violence has increased, and he says the figure is 300%. Okay, I do not know about the figure. Okay, but definitely domestic violence has increased because of these new developments. Yes, the reproductive rates will increase. Okay, this will impact fertility rates. ये सारे impact जो है, ये सब impact fertility rates में भी है. It impacts fertility rates. Okay. Mental health, maternal health, absolutely. So, ये वाला dimension छोड़ ignore मत कर देना. देखो, your essays become smarter and better when you can relate your essays to something interesting. अगर आपको पूछेंगे write about women और आप वही घिसा पिटा लिखोगे, patriarchy and cultural issues and gender sensitivity lack करते हैं, the same ideas, you will not have rich discussions. Okay, your essays become nice, interesting when you bring in new dimensions which most will miss, or the examiner is not as informed about. So women and technology, okay, इसका क्या है? Women and health, okay, pandemic, इसका क्या angle है? Women and mental health, उसका क्या angle है? Women and psychology and the psyche, उसका क्या impact है? Women and rise of right nationalism, उसका क्या linkages है? Okay, art form से बेटा बहुत सारे movies हैं, paintings हैं, there are artists. If you know about Amrita Pritam, okay, Pritam, a very fierce feminist, Amrita Pritam, Okay, आज के डेट में if you talk about I forget her name, writer in South Africa, अमृता शेरगिल, absolutely. अमृता, ये सब तो ट्रेडिशनल वाले हैं. अमृता शेरगिल, yes, fierce. Okay, feminist movements in Ireland. Okay, so please do. और ये पेंटिंग्स में, आर्ट फॉर्म्स में ये दिखता है. Okay, that extreme issues they do show up. Movies का एग्जाम्पल आप देख सकते हो आर्ट फॉर्म्स के अंदर. Yes, I forget that South African who is a writer. Okay, Taslima Nasreen, yes. Priyanka Chopra, Swara Bhaskar, I think so. मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा. I'm sorry. Okay, आप देख लो. Maybe Anubhavi Roy, absolutely. Okay, Barkha Dutt, I think will be a better example. Although she very candidly says that she is not a feminist. Okay, प्रियंका, ये सबको नाम बेटा, कोई नाम का कमी है आपके पास? Okay, कि आप नेहा धूपिया, प्रियंका गांधी, राहुल गांधी, नरेंद्र मोदी, ये एग्जाम्पल्स ना दो ना. Okay, keep your examples a bit more politically unbiased. Okay, those are all examples to show that you know a bit more. Eleanor Roosevelt was a very good example of, I will not say feminism, but Malala Yousafzai, okay, Greta Thunberg, okay, Tahira Kashyap, yes, she definitely, Rosa Parks, yes, Michelle Obama, absolutely. So ऐसे कुछ नाम दो तो आपका ऐसे रिच होता है. Okay, प्रियंका चोपड़ा, प्रियंका गांधी, okay, let's look for some other examples is what I'll say. Okay, Hannah Arendt, I do not know much about her, but passing references, yes, please do mention them. Okay, so this is the coverage on women theme. Gulabi gang, okay, fine, whatever you know, use it now. Okay, so I have covered 4 themes for you. I have covered poverty, I have covered globalization, okay, social media. You also have a fair idea about mental health now. आप वो वीडियो देख लेना, it's a pretty comprehensive one, mental health. Okay, इसका थोड़ा idea हो गया. And of course, women, you have a fair, okay, discussion. What was this one? Listen to a short film, Women Recognized. ये किसका है बेटा? हरि प्रसाद? Yes, Hari Prasad. You and Women, ये क्या है? Is it a movie, documentary? ये क्या है? You and Women? Okay, a short film है. Okay. You and Women or Unwomen? Oprah Winfrey, yes, absolutely. Oprah Winfrey is definitely a good example. Nandita Das, yes. Okay, got some award. Neha Singh says, I think I missed this. Okay, and women, I think I missed this. आप देख लेना इसको please. ठीक है? So beta, that was the agenda more or less for today's class. Okay, so I might end up a bit early today. I wanted to touch on 2 more themes. Okay, I'll see. We still have classes. Okay, Abby Wambach, yes, Abby Wambach. I will touch on 2 more things. If I cannot take a class, then I will have a recording I'll share with you. ठीक है? We can do that. हाँ हरि प्रसाद बोलो. Poverty, globalization, social media, mental health का idea हो जाएगा आपको. आप वीडियो देख लेना. Women, okay, women, and this is that movie. Okay, Unwomen. Okay. Enrichment class for GS. अभी नहीं, it's much later, not now. Okay. With respect to themes, एक theme important है governance. Governance is an important theme. I would like to touch on that, and maybe something on education and innovation. Okay. This will give you a fair amount of idea to write on. ठीक है, we'll do that. Nidhi, you guys are with me. अभी problem हो रहा है ना, I'm juggling too many things. That's why कुछ recordings हमारा देर हो रहा है. And plus my system is not ready yet. Okay, I've been depending on Chrome IS का system, which there are glitches. ठीक है? Unwomen, Umair Bhatt is sharing the link. Okay, तो ये link आप लोग copy कर लो if you can. Okay, copy कर लो if you can. So, but I am there. You have my email ID. You have my Telegram channel. आप लोग मुझे contact कर सकते हो. Okay, we still have one more class to go after your test. Okay, and I'll see if I can add up some content in one more class. If I can, we'll do that. ठीक है? और आप लोग को मुझे कुछ model essays देना है. Let me work on it. I will ultimately share all of that with you. So, today that's about it. We have finished the class about 10-15 minutes earlier. Information society, knowledge society, yes you can. They're not exactly the same, but you can definitely. ठीक है? What link? बेटा वो link तो that girl has shared, no? किसने share किया था अभी? Unwomen का जो share किया था, किसने किया था? Umair had shared. जय शंकर also shared. Scroll up करो ऊपर, देखो. अभी तो शेयर किया था किसे? उमैर भट्ट ने शेयर किया था. यस, देखिए स्क्रॉल अप, अनविमेन का लिंक शेयर किया है. और आप लोग मेल मेल देख लेना. ठीक है? चेक योर मेल. ओके, चेक योर मेल. उमैर, कैन यू पुट इट ऑन द पैनल फॉर ऑल, नॉट जस्ट. ओके उमैर, इफ यू आर लिसनिंग टू मी, कैन यू पुट अप the link for others? So Google search कर लो ना बेटा, मिल जाएगा आपको. Unwomen, not a big deal. तो सबको मेल मिलेगा. Okay, all of you will get mail. Some of you have got, others check your spam box. ठीक है? There Umair Bhatt has shared it. ठीक है? So that's about it then. Okay, and those who joined me late, I want to quickly update this for you. So ध्यान दो board पे please. Those who joined me late, who missed the earlier discussion. Okay, number one, please check your mail. Okay, you'll get three things. You'll get a booklet, PDF मिलेगा आपको. A type of resource you can use for your essays, जिसमें कि speeches हैं, books के summaries हैं, कुछ quotes हैं. A very nice compilation which I have personally looked into. तो आप हल्का reading करना. ठीक है? Is a very good book which can enrich your content, what to write on. उसके बाद आपको एक mental health पे video होगा. Okay, on the YouTube, a video by Dev Tripathi. He is one of the primary promoters of Educemi. Okay, he has shared this, and you'll also get a survey questionnaire where you give us your feedback. And second thing is 24th को आपका test है. Please log on to Correcto. You will have 3 topics. Any one पे लिखना है. 3 topics. Okay, any one पे लिखना है. Okay, 2 hours के अंदर लिखना है. But I will not be policing you. You be honest and upload. We'll upload at 10 a.m. and you have the freedom to write anytime. Okay, within the next 14 hours. Okay, midnight 12 तक you can submit. उसके बाद हम बंद कर देंगे. If you do not submit by midnight 12, I will shut down your submission. उसके बाद हम लेंगे नहीं, हम चेक नहीं करेंगे. Okay, so you have the whole day with you, without cheating, without looking up. Try to use techniques I've taught you and write on blank pages with margins, then scan, convert into PDF, and then you post. मुझे पता है आपको लिख के बताने के बावजूद आप ये मिस्टेक करोगे. Okay. You have to scan and convert into PDF. Any other form में system नहीं लेगा. Image डाल दोगे, photograph डाल दिया, word document डाल दिया, the system will not accept. Only PDF. Convert into PDF. Use any scanner app use कर लो, PDF convert हो जाता है, free of cost है ये, and then you upload, post you upload. Okay, so do this on 24th. Okay, and I hope you all have a good experience. Okay, so that's about it. Okay, catch you on 25th. आपका test discussion जो है वो 25th को है. ठीक है? I'll discuss the 3 topics that I give you for your test. Okay, then bye bye all of you. UPSC style answer scripts, answer sheets. Yes, you can do that. Yes. Okay, then bye bye. Take care. Okay, nice discussion we had. Okay, make your summary of the classes. Bye bye. Bye.